Hello everybody, how are you? Hello everybody, how are you? It is time to start our day. It is time to work and play. Hello everybody, how are you? Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about another part of our Earth, of the world we live in. Last week we talked about a place that wasn't a continent, but it was at the top of the world, and it was very cold and icy. Anybody remember what it was called? It's called the Arctic, and it wasn't a continent, but it was part of more than one continent. Now today, we're going to go from the very top of the world to the very bottom of the world and talk about another continent. Before I show it to you, before we talk about it, let's sing our continent song. It's been a long time. Let's see how you remember it. Let's see if I remember it. You ready? North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa. Don't forget Antarctica. Don't forget Australia. North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa. Now today you're going to learn why we go like this when we say Antarctica. We're going to learn a little bit about what it's like to live there. Last week we looked on our globe, let me show you again, and we were at the very top. We were at the Arctic, and again, it's part of more than one continent. We're going to get in our airplanes. You ready? Buckle up. Here we go. We're going to fly all the way from there, from the very top, the North Pole, and we're going to fly over the oceans, over the land, and we're going to go to the very bottom of the globe, down where the South Pole is. North Pole and South Pole, Arctic and Antarctica. Antarctica, again, is a continent. So far, we've talked about North America, Europe, and now Antarctica. This is what the continent of Antarctica looks like. Look at the color that they show it being. Any guesses why it's kind of this white and blue color? Now remember this blue all around it, that's the ocean. But look at the continent itself. It is a very, very icy place. That's why it's represented with this white and blue. It's a very cold and icy place, just like the Arctic was. So today we're going to look at what makes them the same and what makes them different, how things they have in common and things that are different from the two. So let's learn a little bit about Antarctica so we can compare and contrast the two places. Let's start with this little bit of a map. This one is a map of Antarctica, just like the one behind me. See how the shape is the same? But this one has pictures on it that shows you different things that you would find in Antarctica. So take a moment and take a look at that. See what you see on there. I see an airplane. I'm going to have to turn it so I can see it a little bit better. I see an airplane because people can travel there. I see a sled. We saw one of those last week when we looked at the Arctic. There's a sled. There are fish in the ocean. It looks like there's even some ice mountains there. One thing that I see today that we did not see when we looked at the Arctic, right there. What are those? Penguins. We didn't mention penguins not once when we were up in the Arctic because you don't find them on the North Pole. You only find penguins on the South Pole. You'd have to go down to the bottom of the earth to find them. Now, something we did see in the Arctic, polar bears. Guess what? We won't see those down here. They're at the top of the world and penguins are at the bottom of the world. And guess what? They both start with the letter P. That's our letter of the week, polar bear and penguins. That's a little picture for you to get an idea of what Antarctica looks like. Now, let's look a little bit closer at it. There they are. We got our mommy and daddy penguin, and of course the baby penguin staying warm inside of there. Let's learn some facts. This is a non-fiction book like we talked about last week. That means it teaches us things and it tells us real information. So let's learn some facts about Antarctica. First of all, like we said, it's at the bottom. It's down south on our globe where the South Pole is. In fact, it is the most southern place on the whole earth. Most of the land is covered in thick ice and snow all of the time. We just get it in the wintertime, but they have it all year long. Ice also floats on the sea. This is called an ice shelf when it floats away. Antarctica is the coldest and the windiest place in the whole world. Most of the world's ice is in Antarctica. Now there were waves. This is ice here. Take a good look at them. Waves, crashing waves formed that ice. It's a beautiful picture. Uh-oh, icebergs ahead. Icebergs are massive blocks of ice that break off from ice shelves and they float into the sea around Antarctica. This is the tip of an iceberg. Most of the iceberg is actually hidden underneath the water. So you can only see that part. That looks huge, but it's even bigger under the water. Let's see what else we want to learn here. Oh, no, you can live there. Not many people can. Some people are allowed to visit, but not many. They only let so many visitors at a time. But people that live there are called scientists, and they set up what's called a research station so they can learn about Antarctica. They study things like the ice and the animals and the weather. Now, if they're going to live there and it's the coldest place on Earth, they have to stay warm. Kind of looks like the person we saw from the Arctic last week. They put on a layer of what's called thermal underclothes from head to toe. Then they put on a sweater, socks, and gloves. Then they have this special material jacket that keeps the wind away from them. And then they wear special boots and a warm hat. And they can freeze their eyes, so they also have to wear goggles. All we can see is just a little bit of skin on their nose there. They have to keep themselves warm. They have to be able to cross the ice. And in the one picture we saw that they were using a sled like last week in the Arctic, but they also use something called ski-doos. Look at that. That's pretty cool how he can travel across the ice. Now, do you think if it's that cold and that icy, they have gardens outside there? I don't think they can. They need dirt, don't they? They need dirt to be able to grow things, and they need rainwater. So instead of growing their own food there, food is brought in through boats. Some strong ships that are called icebreakers, and they actually go through the ice and bring them their food. Couple more. Let's see what else we can find here. There are sea creatures that live in the water around there. Last week we heard that the Arctic Ocean is up in the Arctic, but now the Southern Ocean is down by Antarctica. There's krill, which is like shrimp, and they are actually food for most of the other sea creatures that come down there. This is an Antarctic jellyfish, and it is ginormous. You see the man in the scuba diving suit there taking a picture? That's a grown man, and look at the size of the jellyfish next to him. One more, the penguins. They live on the ice and in the sea, but unlike most birds, they can't fly, but they are very good swimmers. So again, penguins are found in Antarctica, not the Arctic. So now you've learned a little bit about the North Pole and the South Pole, the Arctic and Antarctica. Let's take a quick peek and see what things you find in one place, the other place, or both places. We're going to look at something called the Venn diagram. And what that is two circles, okay? Here's one, here's the other, but look, they're drawn so they share a space. That's where we're going to put things that you find in both the Arctic and Antarctica. If you find them only in the Arctic, we're going to put it over here. If you find it only in Antarctica, we're going to put it over here. So I have some pictures here. Let's see. This is called a narwhal, and I apologize, my pictures are kind of dark, but that's a narwhal. A narwhal can be found in the Arctic, but not in Antarctica. So this can be found in the north, so we're going to put him over there. He goes by the Arctic, not in both, and not in Antarctica. Let's see what else we have. This is an albatross. This is found in Antarctica, not the Arctic, so it's found in the south. So it's going to go over here. What else have we got here? Oh, icebergs. Icebergs are found in both places. There's so much ice in both places that you find them in both places. So anything that you find in both, we're going to put right in this middle section. There we go. What else have we got here? You tell me. Penguins. Where do we find penguins? In the Arctic in the north or in Antarctica in the south? We learned that they are only in the south in Antarctica. Oh, you tell me. Polar bears. Where do we say you find them? Only in the north, in the Arctic. We're going to put that over here. Couple more. Let's see what else we have here. There is land under the ice of Antarctica. We just talked about how you see the top of the iceberg. Well, underneath, there is land underneath the ice there. Sometimes scientists can go to both places. They can go north or south, to Antarctica or the Arctic. So that's another one that goes right here in the middle. And I have one more. Let's see. Tourists can go to both. Tourists are people that are visiting. Those are visitors to the place. And as I was saying before, when you go down to Antarctica, if you have to take a ship to get there, and they only let so many visitors get off in Antarctica and visit at a time. There's a limited number. There's a limited number of people that are allowed to go visit there to protect the land that's there. That's a little bit about them. Isn't that pretty cool? Well, the highlight for me is penguins. Penguins are really neat little creatures. So we're going to do a couple more activities with penguins. I'm going to push this out of the way. and then we'll say our goodbyes. We'll say goodbye to each other after we do a couple more activities with penguins. First of all, I'd like to read you a funny story about a penguin called Tacky. A moment ago, we shared a book that was a nonfiction book. It taught us information. This one's fiction. This one's for fun. And it's just a fun story to listen to. Tell me, where is Tacky standing? What do you think that he's standing on here? Could that be a little bit of an iceberg, maybe? Sticking out of the water? There once lived a penguin. His home was a nice icy land he shared with his companions. His companions were named Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect. His name was Tacky. Tacky was an odd bird. Every day, Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect greeted each other quietly and politely. Tacky greeted them with a hearty slap on the back and a loud, "What's happening?" Goodly, Lovely, Neatly, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect always marched 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tacky always marched 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 6, 0, 2.5, 0. His companions were graceful divers. Tacky liked to do splashy cannonballs. Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect always sang pretty songs like Sunrise on the Iceberg. Tacky always sang songs like How Many Toes Does a Fish Have? Tacky was an odd bird. One day, the penguins heard the thump, thump, thump of feet in the distance. This could only mean one thing. Hunters had come. They came with maps and traps and rocks and locks, and they were rough and tough. As the thump, thump, thump drew closer, the penguins could hear the growly voices chanting, "We're gonna catch some pretty penguins, and we'll march them with the switch, and we'll sell them for $1 and get rich, rich, rich." They're up to no good, aren't they? Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect ran away in fright. They hid behind a block of ice. What do you think Tacky did? Where did he go? Hope he's okay. Hope he didn't get caught. Tacky stood alone. The hunters marched right up to him chanting, "We're going to catch some pretty penguins and we'll march them up with a switch and we'll sell them for $1 and get rich, rich, rich." "What's happening?" blared Tacky, giving one hunter an especially hearty slap on the back. They growled, "We're hunting for penguins. That's what's happening." Let's see, I think I missed a page. I did. "Penguins," said Tacky. "Do you mean those birds that march neatly in a row?" And he marched 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 6, 0, 2.5. The hunters looked puzzled. He's confused them. "Do you mean those birds that dive so gracefully?" Tacky asked. And he did a splashy cannonball. The hunters looked wet. "Do you mean those birds that sing such pretty songs?" Tacky began to sing, and from behind the block of ice came the voices of his companions, all singing as loudly and dreadfully as they could. "How many toes does a fish have? And how many wings in a cow? I wonder, yep, I wonder." Oh, look at the hunters. They can't stand it. They had to cover their ears. The hunters could not stand the horrible singing. This could not be the land of the pretty penguins. They ran away with their hands clasped tightly over their ears, leaving behind their maps and traps and rocks and locks, and not looking at all rough and tough. Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect hugged Tacky. Tacky was an odd bird, but a very nice bird to have around. I think Tacky saved the day. Good old Tacky. There's a lot of Tacky the Penguin books if you want to look at your library, or maybe you have some at home. There's a lot of fun Tacky stories to find and read. Those are enjoyable. Couple of activities for you to do. First of all, you can make your own penguin. I'm going to do it using a toilet paper tube. These are awesome. Now, I was lucky because mine was white, and let me show you. I happen to have a little penguin here. If you look at my little penguin, what color is his belly? He has a white tummy. So I'm going to paint mine. You can use marker, you can use crayon, you can use colored pencil. I'm going to paint mine, but when I do, I'm going to leave a spot here for his belly to be white. So what color do you think that I should paint mine? Or what color marker do you think I should use? I think I'm going to use the color black. My penguin is mostly black. I have things to go with him. I have some eyes. Let me get some paint out here. I have some eyes. I have some feet. He's got some special little webbed feet and a nose I have for him. So I have my clip on here because it keeps my fingers clean. So I think actually I will make this the belly side so I can leave that white. I'm going to take my paintbrush. I'm going to dip it into my paint. I'm going to get some black paint here. And I'm going to start painting. Now what I like with paint is it kind of helps the extra parts that I'm going to put on there, his wings, his nose, his feet, like I said, it helps him stick while the paint is still wet. I already have my pieces cut. I'm painting his backside right now. Now his belly is kind of a oval shape, so what I'm going to do to paint is I'm going to still paint black at the top, but I'm going to leave kind of an oval shape. See how I'm doing that? And I'm going to come down and run here like this too. Well, that was quick, wasn't it? That wasn't a long painting job. Now you can ask your grown-up, does it look like kind of a penguin already? You can ask your grown-up if you can paint, or you can also use markers and crayons and things like that, like I said. Now, my penguin is going to need a nose. So I'm going to put his nose right there, and it's going to hopefully stick right to the paint. Then he needs some eyes, of course. Everything I add to him kind of makes him look more like a penguin. Just giving him that belly made him look like a penguin even more, didn't it? I've got googly eyes. Now this might get my hands messy trying to put them on there, so I'm going to turn it this way and see if that helps. One. Wait till you see him when I flip him up. Let me get one more eye. See if it looks more like a penguin. I'm afraid they're going to fall off. Then I have wings for him that I can put on. One there, and then I can put one here. And then I am going to have to add his feet because let's see if I can make it stick to the paint a little bit. I have little webbed feet for him. I have two. There's one. I'll put those on later. I have little webbed feet for him, so I can make my penguin, and you can do the same thing. You can paint him, color him, like I said, whatever you'd like to do. That's one art project I have for you to do today. I'm going to let my penguin dry. Set him down so he can dry. Another one, you can take a piece of paper. I like this one a lot. If you have a piece of paper and you have some paints, we learned that Antarctica is the windiest place on the whole earth. You can do wind painting today. All you need is a piece of paper. And I lost my paper. You can do just use a piece of paper and get some paint and put it on there. Just put a dollop of paint. Have your grown-up squirt some, have them put a spoonful on, take a straw and make your own wind and blow the paint around. You can also, if your grown-up says okay, you can use a blow dryer. That makes wind and blow the paint around. But you can paint with wind today by making your own wind. Now, one final activity that you can try today at home, if you have a ball or a balloon, you can try to walk like a penguin. We don't say penguins that they walk or take steps, they waddle. Have you ever seen a penguin waddle? Well, I have a balloon. I don't have a ball. Let me see if I can blow it up. Did it. All right, I'm going to tie it off. And then if I put it between my knees and I tried to walk, I'd be walking like a penguin. So do you want to see what it is to walk like a penguin? Take a balloon, don't pop it. Don't squeeze too hard so it pops. Or take a ball, put it between your knees, and try to waddle like a penguin. I hope you guys have fun penguin days for our P week. I will see you guys on Friday. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.